All right, guys. Brendan Hall here again with John Sarianides from Norwood High School, and our other good friend here, Steve Dembowski from Swampscott High School. We just saw one of the more thrilling games, thrilling finishes you'll see here in the Super Bowls all day. Everett 20, Barnstable 19. This one went right down to the wire. I think a lot of people were on the edge of their seats in the crowd here. Initial thoughts, John. Barnstable had a couple chances here. Everett made a couple nice defensive stands.
I think Everett's turnovers, to me, were the story. That allowed Barnstable to stay in the game. The turnovers and the penalties, that not only allowed Barnstable to stay in the game, but I think it gave them opportunities to win the football game. They obviously came back and essentially tied it, but then the kid missed the extra point. But what a tremendous game. Truly one of the best Division I Super Bowls that we've seen here in the last 5 years.
One of the keys, we'll talk about Jakari Washington for Everett in a second, but Tararo France really brought these guys back and almost won it for them.
Yeah, there's no doubt. I mean, I think, to take off what John said, Barnstable caused some of those turnovers, and they were very physical, and they proved that they were right where they should be, in a championship game against a great program competing. I think the thing that France was awesome, but only 8 completions out of 28 attempts against the pressure defense that Everett plays, and everybody knows that Everett's going to bring pressure and play man. And obviously the completions to France and the 3 touchdowns were huge, but there should have been more of them. Get the ball to those guys in space, and it's just I think it was too many missed opportunities in the end of Barnstable.
We mentioned Everett as kind of a patchwork team at times this year, kind of an amoebic offense, kind of adapts every week, and 5 turnovers today, but really just kind of grinding it out. And we look at Jakari Washington, 9 carries, 121 yards, 2 touchdowns. He's a wide receiver taking carries. They're at their 4th quarterback. Raheem Wingard, moving the ball, running the option pretty efficiently. Just week to week, they just seem to adapt, and that's really the statement of Everett football this year.
Yeah, and I think that they've got 3 guys that can get into space and make plays, in Jalen Felix and Jakari Washington and Kalasia. And look, here's the thing: credit to Dibbs, because they did what they needed to do to win this football game today. Like you said, Washington got carries, he got touches. All 3 of those guys got touches, and Wingard and even Gilly D'Souza, when he came into the game when Wingard went down, they did enough to manage the game that Everett can hang in there, do what they want to do, and play their style of football. And in a lot of ways, that was a difference. I think, to me, and I'm not taking anything away from Barnstable, I think they're physical. They play a great brand of football on both sides of the ball. But if you take away the turnovers and the penalties, Everett probably wins this game by 2 scores. And to Dembo's point, when you look at what they did defensively, I thought Nick Peabody at times really struggled with Everett's pressure, particularly inside. Everett was playing a 6-man box. They were flogging A-gap, B-gap. He seemed to struggle with it. So it's a credit to the way those kids are coached. It's a credit to the program, and it's a credit to Dibbs and his staff. They did a great job, and they pulled out the win and got the bowl.
Just to build on that point with the defense, we mentioned that A-gap blitz from Parvalis in one of the first series of the game, causing the pick 6 there. We know about their secondary: D'Souza, right, Figaro, Felix, Washington can all hold their own. How much does that catalyze the front 7?
Well, I think whatever it does with their pressure is they create one-on-one pass protection problems for you. And they ran a 4-2 box. They brought double A up the middle. They brought some edge pressure occasionally. But I think at the end they had Collage kind of at safety, and they were playing straight 0 coverage, and he was reading that back out of the backfield and reading Peabody's eyes. He gets that last pick that ices the game. He was lined up at 7 yards over the ball, and that's a rollout play to the sideline, and he makes that interception. Everett has the athletes. I think Barnstable's defense gave a courageous effort. They just didn't cash in the opportunities on offense. And like John said, you got to tip your cap to Dibbs, whose best feature of this year's team was his perimeter players that weren't ball carriers last year. This year they're ball carriers, and they had that monstrous offensive line. But I thought Barnstable did a great job of neutralizing those guys and holding the Everett offense to 2 touchdowns. So, this game was a toss-up, and in the end, it comes down to a kick and a mistake here or there. But, 2 programs that you got to tip Barnstable's cap for getting themselves into Everett's league and, really playing them to 2, fantastic games for everyone to watch.
There you have it, guys. The first match was a thriller. 13-7 double overtime thriller in the pouring rain for Barnstable to knock off Everett and finish their reign as the #1 team in the state. And then now Everett returns a favor here when it counts at Gillette Stadium in 2019. One of the more thrilling finishes we've seen in years here. And they'll finish the year as the #1 team in our state. We'll have more on this later, so be sure to check out us on ESPNBoston.com.